Well, thanks for coming, Joel.
Thank you, bro.
I'm excited to do this. When Joe and I were talking about your album, we definitely want to like share the story and like share a little bit more of like why Groanings, because I think people know a part of it, but they don't know the whole thing, and it's so hard, obviously, for everyone to know. So, we wanted to take this time and bring you to Southern California and ask you some questions.
Yeah, thank you.
I've had the privilege of knowing Joel for 10 plus years, and I've seen you through, some pretty major ups and major, get some ups and downs.
Yeah.
And
I would say the same for you,
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, I mean, I've known you for some time, and whenever the album came out, which was September 19th?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago,
yeah.
Pretty much
it's
exactly.
Crazy.
Which, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I know it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
How long did you work on it?
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the album. I definitely have a ton of questions. Some of our team and bunch. We had some questions that we prepared, and I know you like to write some notes down.
I
do.
We'll
go through that. But before that, I think what would be really helpful, and I think it'd even be helpful for me too, is understanding your background, just where you came from, what your childhood looked like, and of course how that brought you to who you are today as Joel Figueroa, worship leader, artist.
Mm-hmm.
You released this album.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the middle of your, I think, career, and I think the backstory would be super helpful for a lot of people to know. So talk to me.
Yeah. So I was actually remembering, we met in Bible school, right? You and me, obviously, which would put us, is it more than 10 years?
I think so. It's 10, 12 years maybe.
That's crazy, bro.
I know.
Just kind of when you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I've known you for a long time. I was born in California, which is where we're filming this.
Yeah.
And my parents, when I was 4 years old, they got a divorce. So I was raised by a single mom, and it was wild being raised by a single parent, only child. But from a young age, my mom led me to God, I would say, putting me in environments where God was present.
Yeah.
And my mom met God when we moved to Mexico when I was about 7 years old. And from then on, I started experiencing what you would call encounters with God, I guess.
Yeah.
And that followed me around all through preteens, teenage years. Obviously, I went to Bible school, but it probably in my preteen years is when I started questioning a lot of life. I think a lot of life hit me. I felt, I wouldn't say I felt permission, but the fruit of it was rebellion. I turned away from God and started doing what typical people do in their teenage years.
Stuff,
and I just had a lot of questions that I would ask God and myself. And even through that rough patch in my teenage years of living a life of sin, for lack of better words, I still felt God with me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I learned from a young age that God would never separate himself from me.
Because you knew he was with you.
He was with me, yeah. And I think those little encounters, even as a small child, they marked me. I was actually talking to my cousin Miguel a couple days ago of how when you meet God at whatever age, but you meet God and he marks you, and then that, I don't know if I would call it the word encounter, because that sometimes that word, it can be so loaded, but that your life, and God, there's a collision that happens that haunts you for the rest of your life. And so even as I have these experiences with God, him touching my life, me experiencing God.
Yeah.
And when I'm a teenager smoking weed in a party, And then it would feel like there'd be friends all around, and all of a sudden I felt like time would stop, and I would like just have this other person here, and I knew it was God, and I was ignoring it. And so that has been my life, obviously.
Yeah.
And when I was around like 16 or 17, I went back. I went back to Mexico, and I went to a church conference, and I remember being extremely moved when there was worship music. Something was being almost touched inside of me that was very deep, and I didn't know what it was, but I really was moved by it. I encounter God in a very deep way, and I leave my life behind, and I'm like, God, I want to serve you. So then that was like 16, 17, go through high school, and then 18 is when I graduate from high school. I start working at a Chili's. I know, so random. And the hostess was a Christian, and we eventually like became friends, and she's like, what are you about? And I'm like, well, I love film and I love music.
Yeah.
And I wish that I could study all that with God. And she said, well, have you heard about this place called CFNI? It's in Dallas. And I'm like, no. And so then I went
found out through her?
Through her, yeah, the hostess.
I didn't know that.
So then I went on the internet that night, and I looked at the website, and I was like, oh, I don't think it's for me. I want to go to Australia. And,
yeah, for sure.
And that never worked out because it was so expensive to go to Australia. And so
it was like Texas, Australia.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually I applied. I made it in. I remember my mom drove me to Dallas from the Valley, like in McAllen. And
shout out Loda.
she dropped me off, and it was the first time I was ever away from my mom that long. And it was so crazy to be away from my mom that way. I remember I cried so much in student orientation, because it was just me and my mom for so many years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it was like once I entered CFNI, a new chapter of my life.
That's when it started.
Happened, yeah, bro. It again, like I said, when God marks you, there's like a thread that follows you all your life, that you can run away from it, you can't really, it haunts you.
That's a good point.
So that's my backstory. There's so much I could tell you,
but at that point, so when you went to CFNI, had you already like been leading worship?
Here and there, like
were you a singer? Like were you?
No, well, I remember I sang like in 4th and 5th grade in choir, and it was fun. And then middle school happened, and I realized that I was way better at music than sports. Like I just loved music. I loved it. I played violin for years, and I was pretty obsessed with playing violin. And I remember my orchestra teacher telling me, if you can play it, you can sing it, because you have to train your ear. And that always followed me around. And so sometimes I would just try to sing along to like bands like Blink-182. I remember I discovered, I was like, wait, when I sing with him, we sound the same. So I started thinking, can I sing? So I'd be in the shower singing Blink-182, you know? And then when I gave my life to the Lord, really, I started going to this little church in McAllen, and they needed a bass player. So I started playing bass. My mom bought me a bass from the pawn shop. At first I'd play violin, and they're like, no, you need to play bass. I played bass. And then one day the pastor, he asked me if I wanted to sing How Great Is Our God while I played bass. And I was like, sure. And so I started kind of practicing the song. I sang it, and I realized that I could sing. And I remember when I started singing that song, the best way to tell you is I felt like something inside of me unlocked. That was put there from when I was born. I remember the feeling. Oh yeah, it felt like there was a well inside of me that just went, pah, it opened up, and that opened a whole new world to me. For me, singing.
And so you got to CFNI, and I mean, you did a few years at CFNI. I remember
I did
4 years.
It's a 3-year school, but I did another year. Yeah.
Because I met you, I think you were already in your 3rd year when I got there. You had already been there.
Did or at you least, really?
Yeah, I got there at least 2 years after you were already there. And I remember the first time I met you, we were trying out for Praise Band.
Yes.
I don't know if do you remember that?
I remember.
I think you were with your friend, and it was a weird thing. Like, I mean, we went to CFNI, met you there, and then they had tryouts at the beginning of the semester to see who would be a part of the worship group.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to go into too much, but you did praise band.
I never did praise band.
You were leading worship at CFNI, right?
We did in different little churches.
Okay.
Here and there, in the prayer room. Do you remember the prayer room?
Yes. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So special.
Oh my gosh, so special. Yeah. Now looking back, I'm like, dang, that was like a little foretaste of what.
Was it the Lindsay room?
Yeah, the Gordon Lindsay House of Prayer.
Yes.
The GL Hobbs.
Yes.
Such a
Sharon
special
Hobbs.
place.
Do you remember that? She would have like night sessions, like
all night prayer,
like on Friday nights.
Oh, so good.
Really special. But yeah, so then you did CFNI. And so then at that point, I would imagine, like, because you did like a worship track, and or no?
Yeah, I did the worship and media track, and then I did School of Youth after.
Yeah.
And so auditioned for praise band, never really made it. Which at that time, I felt like it was like world shattering because I thought that God would listen to me and that it meant more if I was on a stage. And so now making it on praise band for a couple years, I've discovered the music room. Do you remember there was a bunch of pianos?
A piano.
Bro, and I discovered, and then at that very same time, I remember my friend Robson, he bought this little DVD from the bookstore, and it was called Here Is Love. It was Bethel.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? And he puts it on, and I see this blonde lady begin to sing I Love Your Presence. And I'm like, why is she singing like that? And then she sings a song, and then she goes off the page, and I'm like, what is she doing? Like, she's doing what my heart
like it
does.
Something.
Yeah, it's what my heart does when I hear a song, but then they move on, and I'm like, wait, why did we move on? But I didn't have language. I would just get frustrated that the song would end, right? I'm like, maybe you're supposed to sing the chorus more. I didn't know. So I see, which was obviously Jen Johnson singing this song. And bro, that was another, like, there's moments in our lives or in my life where something is deposited. Yeah. In that moment, something was deposited. Oh my gosh, bro. And so then I remember school would end and I would go to the music room.
I remember that.
And I would play songs, and then I remember, okay, I'm gonna keep the same chord progression, but I'm just gonna sing to God my heart right here.
And that was that natural to you? You weren't like, it was that, right? Like,
yeah, I just knew that I wanted to sing to God what was happening in my heart in real time. And so I would just play the same chord progression, and then songs would start coming out, and I was like, whoa, I'm doing what my worship heroes are doing, you know?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with what you would call the spontaneous song, you know? And I think I think God was, in a way, training me, or...
Yeah.
Those are sacred moments for me, man.
So obviously, finished CFNI, and then pretty, like, soon after that, you found Upper Room.
Yes.
And again, I remember, like, even to this point, like, you were leading worship, but like very similar to the way you just described.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like you were, leading a bunch of people necessarily. But you were. I remember you would host these gatherings, which you can tell me about, like, at your house, and it was kind of the same idea, right? Like, I want to sing to God. I'm gonna keep doing this.
Yeah.
But
I'm actually remembering something. You and me, we would go visit churches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this. By then I was 23, you were 22.
Yeah,
so we were so young.
Yeah.
But because then we went to Europe.
Yeah.
Bro, so much happened, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember going to churches, and I would go and sit in a church, and if I could figure out everything that was gonna happen, I was like, I'm not gonna come back here. You know? And it was my immature way of being like, I wanna be in a place where God is just gonna interrupt everything. And I couldn't find it. And do you remember we would have these conversations when we dreamt about doing something, and
and I think what was important in that is that, like, there was still kind of this, like, a pursuit of that thing, right?
Yes.
I think if you would have given up and been okay with, like, what was, then I don't think you would have found out what more there was, right? But I remember one day I was working at the time. You actually told me a story earlier, like, dropping me off, and then you went to local church in Dallas, which we can go through it, like, super quick, but you found out about Upper Room.
Yeah.
I think it was
Through Eniola.
Eniola was a part. She told you. Remember, you came back and you're like, "Oh my gosh,
I found it."
I found it. Yeah. And I mean, fast forward, like, you know, we started going to the upper room. Did like a residency program, and that was really when you like started really leading worship with this like a congregation, if you will.
Yes. I started leading worship for my home church.
Yeah.
Which that was a game
really
changer.
special.
Oh my gosh, so special.
Also, Miller and Malden, obviously Meredith, were just like such a big part because they were.
I mean, Meredith was the one that put a microphone in front of me. She said, "Sing."
Exactly. Yeah.
When
And it really was that like sing and do whatever you want. And like, you kind of had like a full hour or even 2 hour slot of like
singing.
I remember those days, bro. Like going into upstairs, but even at the chapel next door. I forget what it was called.
All Saints.
All Saints. You'd walk into those rooms on Sundays and think anything can happen tonight.
Yes.
It was like that.
Yes.
Which is really special.
Yes.
Obviously, it wasn't live streamed or anything like that. But that's I guess that is your journey. Like that's how you got to lead worship.
Yeah. I feel like it was a lot of asking questions and not giving up. Like.
Yeah. So then about 6 years went by, maybe a little bit more, 6-8 years, where like that became your life, right?
Yeah.
And it was really special. It has been really special. Obviously, like, I think I've always told you this, like some of the songs that you've written, even sounds bad to say written, but like some of the stuff that like you would sing. I remember Holy Spirit. There were songs that like you would lead that were really, really special during that time. Obviously, like Upper Room started taking off and people started engaging, being like, what is this thing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of what you're describing.
Yeah.
And then it was maybe about 3-4 years ago when I think you had mentioned like, hey, I want to write my own music.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like I want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So how'd you get to that point? Like with obviously Groanings comes out.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had to consider, do I write a worship corporate album?
Yeah.
Because that's what you have been doing.
Yeah.
I think what's really cool that I've seen is that like you're still leading corporate worship and you're writing this song at the same time. It's not like you've given up on one to do the other. Like I see you on a Sunday on a prayer set, like you're still doing that.
Yeah.
But this is obviously a different expression of you. And maybe I'd love to hear from you, like how you see those two, and also like how Groanings came out.
Yeah. It was about, the album, we started writing it in 2023. So in 2022, I went through a job transition. And probably earlier that year, the best way to tell you is I really felt like God put his finger on songwriting for me. And I remember I felt him say, if not now, then when? And so I started planning my life and transitioned out of my job.
Music bed?
No, music bed. No.
You remember that job?
Yes, I did.
You would drive like an hour to Fort Worth.
But that was not that job. But
okay.
that was a far drive, bro. Yeah. It was horrible. But they were great. And so I start writing, and you have to think about it. From 2022, before a couple years, man, my life, and you were a part of this, our lives changed because our church became globally known, and my normal life, what was normal for me, changed in a couple of years. And so not being known to being known, none of my songs being sung, and then people are singing my songs all over the world. It's beautiful and it's a blessing, and it also it's like there's a weight to it. And so in 2022, I had so much to say to God and so much to process. I just didn't know how to. And so I would go in my room and get on my piano and just begin to write. And a lot of the songs that I would begin to write, I was trying my best to write songs that I would want my church to sing, or that I would want, like what I was comfortable in. You know what I mean? What I had been well acquainted with, and that wouldn't come out of me. What would come out of me were these songs of me processing really hard questions about God, to God, about church, about being a Christian in America, being a human, the human experience, and I would feel God's delight when I would do that. And that I probably wrote for like almost a year.
And it was all within that same subject.
Yeah, it's like like my groanings. I know it's funny, but like it's like it was like there were like these prayers inside, and I would also often feel frustrated. But when I would write, I would get language to my frustrations. I would get language to the prayers. You know? And so, in July of 2023, I got a call from one of the producers, Eric Lopes, and he says, "Hey, what are you doing?" So by then it's been a year. A bunch of voice memos on my phone. So proud that I have like so many songs now, right? That it sounds like me. He's like, "What are you doing with your music?" And I'm like, "Oh, nothing. It's in my voice memos." And he's like, "Why don't you come to Kansas City, and I'll ask the producer that I work with. Maybe the three of us can write together." Fast forward, I go to Europe. I get engaged to my now wife, Elissa. And I come back, which is crazy. That's a whole other story that we can talk about. And I come back freshly engaged. A week after, I go and I'm in the studio with him for a week. And the first song we write is Genesis, and I show him some of my songs. And by the end of the week, probably midweek really, but by the end of the week, we were like, we have something before us. What are we gonna do about it? And I remember, in that moment, I knew this is gonna be my project. This is my first project.
That must have been scary though, right? Because like you were writing some of those songs, not necessarily to like release them.
Yeah,
like, it was just like
they were very raw.
You
know, and like I mean, we talked about this today, but I would say my greatest fear, my kryptonite, is being misunderstood. And so writing these songs, I was being very raw, and it's like I told you, you say something to someone that's shocking, and they kind of give you that first look like, what? That is what I didn't want people to feel when they would hear the music. But when I was working with Eric and Jared, they were so encouraging, bro. That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing when you're working with people who see you, who really see you. Even though you can feel insecure or like, no, and like you, but like, what if should I change the way I say this? Because I want people to understand. They're like, you need to be true to yourself, and God will meet you there. And that was a game changer for me. And so, the producers and I began to sculpt this for 2 years, and it was such a team effort. This would not exist without them, you know. So
for sure,
that's how Groanings started.
Okay, so I think, I mean, you said something. You started writing some of these songs in like 2022, had some tension, right? Like I think that's actually important. Like I'd like to know, like, if you can share what that tension is about.
I mean, I didn't even think about this, but between 2022 and 2023, I started dating Elissa. That was a huge life change, right?
Bro, so,
Like she was one of my best friends for 10 years, and then the veil is removed from me. And I'm like, I need to marry her. And
this is amazing.
And so I wrote, like, when I wrote Metamorphosis, I wrote it on my piano, and I'm writing it because I felt like, bro, I'm dating this girl, I just transitioned out of my job, I'm writing, I'm doing all these things that feel so scary, but I knew that if I didn't do these things, when I would have a kid and they told me, I want to take this risk and this, and I would be like, oh, do it, but your dad never did anything. And I felt like there was greater than just what I was doing for myself. So a lot of these songs came from me thinking about what I would want my kids to say about me. And I would say that I was in a pretty big place of tension. Tension in my heart of what it meant to be a Christian in the world, and how I still felt like my experience of God and the places that I was at, I felt like there was always more, and I didn't have the language to say that, and I didn't have the language to explain that. It's not that I was cynical, it's not that I was angry, it's just that I wanted more of God.
Yeah.
And again, when I would write these songs, I felt like I was able to be really honest with God, and I felt like God understood my questions.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't ask questions to challenge necessarily. I ask questions because I want the truth, and that's what I've always done with God.
Yeah.
I've never been scared to ask God questions, and a lot of these songs came from the place of tension of like, God, how come we move on? When we're in services, how come you're in a place and we move on? I don't understand that. Or why do we have to have people's faces on things? My face is on things. God, I don't know how to sit in that place.
Yeah.
When I just really want you. And
were you angry?
I was angry.
Did you ever get angry at God?
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't really last because he was also the only person who could resolve where the anger was coming from. So it kind of felt sometimes silly where I would be like, I don't understand these things. But you seem to actually want me to bring this to you.
Yeah.
And even in my anger, he met me. And so it increased that I need to write more, because as I'm writing more, I'm discovering what's actually inside of me that I've been wanting to tell God for so many years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And so obviously, where the insecurity would come in is like, wow, I'm being very honest about these things, and what if it doesn't really make sense to the outside world because they've only known me for doing a certain way of music, and it's been beautiful, and I will continue doing that. But I said this to someone, but I feel like if I would not have done Groanings and this new journey of music, they would only be half Joel.
Yeah.
The full Joel is
this. Yeah.
And I am so happy with it, bro.
Because one of the things you were telling me, again, the album's been out for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And you've gotten feedback. And the most consistent feedback I think that you've gotten, you were telling me, is that people say like, oh my gosh, Joel, thanks for giving me language.
Yes.
I've known that about you even when I've been around you and you're leading worship and people come up to you and like, thank you for pushing through, or thank you for giving me language, or thank you for staying here for 2 hours, or whatever it may be. That has been a common thing.
Yeah.
And with this album, I do think that is something that people are like that makes sense. Like there's a song in there about cynicism.
Yes.
It's like, it's a bit bold to put that on there, but at the same time, it's really not, because most people go through that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's why I want to, like, it's amazing that like you put that out there and you're like, yo, this is me. And I really did go through that. And maybe you're still going through that. But what I love about it is that you're not jaded about it. It's not an anger that stays there. Like, you bring it to the Lord, and you also at the same time are singing a song of praise 2 days later.
Yes.
Like, it's both of those at the same time.
Yes.
And when I saw that, because I've known that about you, but when I saw that you're put that out there, I'm like, oh, this is really beautiful, because I think there's a lot of people out there with that same thing. Mm-hmm. With that same struggle. And the struggle doesn't come off as a struggle. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? What other feedback have you gotten about the album?
Well, I just want to say that everything you just said makes me feel so known, because when we wrote that song, it's if I'm ever on the verge of cynicism, and we, in parentheses, we put note to self. Yeah. Because to say that cynicism isn't always, I wouldn't say always, often knocking at the door, just think of 2025. Right? Yeah. To say that cynicism isn't knocking on the door, at least for me, that I would be lying to you. But I was so afraid in the past to admit that I was experiencing that I didn't bring it to God. And when we were writing this song, we were pretty honest with where we were at with current events happening. Like, at that time, big ministries were falling. Yeah. Ministries that we were very influenced by, that we looked up to, and things like that. And you said you sit down in the studio and you're like, cool, like, we're writing music, but like, writing music can feel so vapid in the midst of like big things happening. So what do you do? And so as we were processing, we started talking about, like, if we don't bring this to God, we will grow jaded and we will be cynical. And the antidote to cynicism is truth, but not my truth, God's truth. It cuts through all of it. And that's why we say, Jesus, you are my safety. Like, that's like so literally verbatim. You know, it could sound so elementary, but there's no safety in anything but you. Like, there's no safety in any human. There's no, like, as in, like, nothing that a man or a woman could make. I can't hold that as my safety. No ministry is my safety. My calling is not my safety. My bank account is not my safety. My marriage is not my safety. Jesus is my safety. And if I make anything else my safety, when it falls, if it falls, then the lie that God is not there will be confirmed, because I put my hope and I grabbed onto anything else but Jesus. And I think a lot of people, including myself, were shaken when your heroes fall. And how do you process that? I don't know, but I just know running to God helped a ton for us. And so that came from that place. So when I hear people say, man, that song gave me language, I'm like, bro, there's nothing better as a songwriter especially as a songwriter that you want to write songs for people to relate to God. When they tell you, you helped me communicate to God in a new way, bro, there's nothing like it. Yeah. I helped you connect to God. And I gave you language. Oh my gosh. I gave you language to be able to relate to him. Yeah. Or you understood something about him in words that you didn't know. And there's nothing like it. Yeah. Like, seriously. And so I think that was, so another feedback or comment that I get would be, I feel really refreshed by how it sounds. Yeah, for sure. And that is a huge compliment, because we really worked hard on what it would sound like. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're saying, like, you know, giving people language, do you imagine a world where songs like this are sung at the church, inside of a church? Like, is that something that, like, you think about, you know, because you go back and think about, I don't know, you read Psalms and you read some of David's Psalms and some of the things that he was saying. Obviously we get the big ones, but there's a struggle in it.
Oh, for sure.
And
it's real life, right?
It's real life. But there's a struggle, there's a pain in it. And it's not like, oh, it was just part of David's life, but like it was a part B, right? Like, it's also written in the Bible. It's there on purpose. And to me, groanings is like that. Not, you know, I don't think you were as colorful as him, because, you know, there's some things that he was saying. He's like, you know, kill my enemies and things like that. But like in the church, like, we are only mainly singing songs that kind of have this, you know, bright, maybe not bright, but like message, and it should be congregational and should be corporate. Do you imagine a world where songs like this are sung and there's real pain that comes out? Or is this more just like, no, it's for people to have, you know, in their headphones alone?
Yeah. Personally, I'm going to say both. When I am singing to God, whether it be on a stage or alone, I'm wanting to bring myself to him. Yeah. And I'm wanting to get truth from him. And if I'm leading, I'm wanting to lead people into truth, right? I believe that every song on this album is about God, to God, and through God. Yeah. I can't bring God any worship that is not rooted in spirit and in truth. And I understand the corporate conversation of there's only certain songs that corporately you can sing, that everyone can connect to. Everyone can connect to pain. Everyone can connect to doubt. Everyone can connect to hardship. But the goal is not to stay there. The goal is to go to God. Yeah. When you write a corporate song, you're not writing a corporate song to write a corporate song. You're writing a corporate song so that an entire room could get to God. You're giving language to people to connect to God. And I believe we did that in this album. And so that's why I think, yes, like I imagine these songs being sung in a church. I would love that. And when I mean church is whether it's in a big building or whether it's in a group of friends in your living room, I do desire, and we've talked about this, but I do desire that there would be ways in saying things about God and to God that we maybe where we can take risks, I guess. And
what does that look like?
Man, I think,
because for you, like for instance, for you, say like, what is a you know, I go back to like that music room at CFNI, and it was a tiny room. It was just a piano and a chair, and nothing else fit, and there was a bunch of these, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does like, say if you had this song at that time, would that look like you singing that song and then going to something else is basically kind of what you were saying, right? Like, it's like you're starting here, but then maybe you end at, I don't know.
Bro, that is so funny that you're saying this, because I was talking to the producers, like, and this is what I would tell them, like when we would be writing these songs. I love that you're saying that. I'm thinking about Genesis, and I'm hearing Genesis, and I remember hearing in the studio, and I would begin to feel the same feeling of when I would be singing like Here I Am to Worship. What do I mean by the feeling? Like faith was happening in my heart.
Super good.
And when I experience that, I always want to respond, and I want to tell God something.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to Genesis, and I'm like, I didn't know that I could go somewhere even with this song.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking about Needy. I mean, that's my favorite song on the album. You've heard it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about Needy, and the whole song is about being needy. But then when I'm singing it and I actually sit on it, it makes me want to worship.
Yeah.
And I think that is the whole point.
That's the point.
That does it turn you to God?
Yeah.
You know, and so.
And I think
I understand both sides, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with only certain songs being corporate. I think that new expressions can come, and new ways of relating to God and saying things to God from God are coming, and it's happening. And I don't want to be holding on to a preference.
Yeah.
I want what God wants, not my preference.
Well, I mean, that's one really refreshing. I think something I've seen, because I'm not a worship leader. I don't sing, right? I don't, but I've been able to see like movements of worship. And when I say movements, just like, okay, I can see, you know, here are certain songs that are really popular, or whatever. Like I remember, to me and like Sarah, Joe, Holy Spirit that you wrote, I don't know, 8 years ago or so. To me, that's like one of the better songs that like what you're saying, and even the groanings, even in that, the sonically, it may not fit within like a worship box, but if you take out what you're saying in that, it's maybe the most like one of the most potent songs that I can think of that will get you there is the wrong word too, but they will connect you, you know? But I think a lot of worship leaders, it's like they need it to sound a certain way so that they can pick it up and take it and do it corporately.
Yeah.
And I think groanings, like if people sit back and be like, oh, here's what you're saying in the album, they're probably not going to play it the same way you played it and recorded it.
Yeah.
But they can take that and use those words.
Yeah.
Very similar to David's Psalms. They can take those and put them into a corporate setting, if you will, that may stir up faith and may connect people to God ultimately.
Yes.
Because it is that, like what you're saying.
Yes. I will say, like, something, my church being foundational for me, right?
Of course.
Pretty much my 20s were spent there.
Yeah. And
most of my 30s now that I'm in my 30s. And I think when you learn that, for example, for me, my art is music right now. Okay. When you learn that that there's things you can do to move God, that when you sing to God, it moves him, it ministers to him. If I feel like when I discovered that, I I wanted my life to revolve around that. And so when I'm writing songs, I stopped thinking, is this corporate or is this not corporate? When I'm writing this song, I'm like, Lord, do you like this?
Yeah.
And I can tell you, every time I was writing these songs, whether I was alone or with the producers, I felt the delight of God. And I understand why, as a worship leader, sometimes it's scary to maybe try new things. I would say that I was very, very empowered in our community to take risks, to sing things to God that were in the Bible, but you didn't know you could say that to God, or to take risks musically. I remember Friday nights, you and Julian started Friday nights, and it was just an instrumental set. Yeah. You're a musician, you play drums, but at that time you were helping with media and like, but I'm telling you, like, we were in an environment where we were so trusted, took so many risks. And I remember when we wrote Holy Spirit, Oscar starts playing that na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and I remember thinking, like, that is what I feel when I begin to experience Holy Spirit. Yeah. That it's almost like an ethereal, enchanting, hypnotizing thing. And we all know what that feels like with God. 100%. And that's, I think in those years I began to discover the power of, like, not just singing songs to God, but letting the music take over. Like, so there's so much I could say to that, but it's like, it's the art of the music. Like, it's not, it's the art of the music. It's you getting enveloped with the music and singing it to God. And I feel like Groanings is that for me.
I think that touches God.
Yes, I know it does, because it's the word faith, part of the root word, part of that root word is persuasion. So when God authors faith in your heart, you're being persuaded by God. And when I sing to God, I feel like he's persuading me to believe in him again. And it's like,
super good.
I don't know how else to say that. You're moving God, but God is moving you. And everyone in a room knows what that feels like. And that's what faith is. And bro, to write music, to make art that persuades people back to God, there's nothing like it. So, like, it's not about making Christian art or Christian music. I love it. Like, I'm a Christian. But like, when you think about it more, like, I get to make something, I get to write a song. Like, every time that little piano intro starts on Holy Spirit, I know it communicates something to the room. Yeah. Because it communicated something to me. Yeah. Like, I'm like, God is here. Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel like as artists, we have this privilege, bro, of like, there's nothing, it's like invisible, and then we create with God, and all of a sudden it exists. And now people can grab it and connect to God. And that's like, it's not magic, but it's enchanting. It's like, whoa, like, this wasn't here, and then I just got my pen and paper, and now it's a song called Holy Spirit, We Love You, and people all over the world connect to God, bro. So I just love how you said it.
Well, I think in, something that we talk about a lot is like, what is the sound? What are the songs? What is the message? Like, God is, we weren't arguing about this. We were talking about earlier, like, God is constant, right? And also God is a person that is real, that what's happening today, what's happening this year, what's happening in the last 3 years, like, I would imagine that there's pain in his heart about what is happening, right? It's not, but at the same time, he's not worried about it. He's all powerful. And there's kind of these things that like when I think if we do the same thing for 15 years, 20 years in the church or whatever, like, hey, have we stepped back and asked, like, where are we today? Yes. What do we want to say? But also, actually, what does God want to say? Right? And where are we at today? And can we move forward in experiencing God's delight? Because we can experience it, but there's something greater. Yes. There's more. And I think, I'm 34 years old, but I've been able to see kind of these moves, and that's, we can go into that, but like these moves of like, there was a pocket and there's these pockets that come, and how that came about, because that's the point. Ultimately, the point is connection to God.
Yes.
Being transformed by God, meeting God to the point that like you can never forget that.
Oh yeah.
You can never forget it. And I do think that songs, worship settings is kind of the vehicle. It's the thing that has helped a lot of us. It's helped me through it. Of course, rooted in the Bible.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I've always obviously loved you and some of our friends of like asking that question and being willing to say, yeah, it's I love your presence. It was written 20 years ago, but it's also a song of today.
Oh my gosh.
Which is like manna, right? Like today.
Bro, every time.
And I think people like you that are willing to say like, kind of come in with an open heart and say like, God, what are you saying today?
Yes.
And I'm going to sing it back to you and intercede, whether that hits corporate congregations, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like what's the right thing to hit congregations? But I sometimes think like, I love Stephanie's album that I think you showed me today. I think they're all Psalms. It says like
she's
Psalms.
literally singing Psalms word by word.
Yeah. That's like,
it's so refreshing.
It's refreshing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yes,
It's like
bro.
you remove a lot of the stuff and it's like, oh, this is simple.
Yeah.
I love simplicity.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the things I want to ask you, I know the sun's coming down, which is beautiful.
Oh wow.
You did Groanings, and I know we're talking about this. Did you have a thought at one point of, you know what, I'm going to write a corporate congregational album? Because you could have done that.
Yeah.
Or, you know what, no, you've always known that you were going to do this album that sounded like this. Because I think what I'm realizing is the lyrics are this, it still is that Joel that wrote Holy Spirit. It's the same Joel, but the format, the packaging of the album sounds different. It sounds like, it sounds, it could be poppy and it could be, it has a different sound than you would traditionally do.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why'd you go that route?
Well, that little window between like 2022 and 2025 now, I started really honing in on becoming a better writer. And part of my, that's funny because I haven't thought about this in a while, but part of becoming a better writer, I started studying just really good songwriters, singer-songwriters.
Yeah.
And I would also get on YouTube and I would watch a bunch of songwriters teaching songwriting. And I would be eating my lunch. In general. I'd be eating my lunch and I would be like listening to, I remember, it was like, it wasn't even, it was like someone, I can't even remember who it was. And I would just take notes and I would almost like, I feel like I went back to school, right? And John Mayer. I think it was like someone was teaching you how to write songs like John Mayer. And it was like all these like hooky things. And so then I would like study it and then go upstairs on my piano and then put it to practice. But I would bring what I was processing and I would try these things and it started making me a better writer, right? And in the midst of all this, I then started to discover like, wow, like I actually want to sing things differently with my voice. I think I know that I can sing really high sometimes and I can belt, but actually a lot of these things that I'm saying feels like I'm actually confessing a lot to God, and confession feels more intimate. And so when I started recording this album, I remember telling the producers, I don't want to belt. I don't want to belt in this album. And they're like, bro, but that's such a big part of who you are. And I'm like, I understand, but this feels to me like it has to be close. Like I want the microphone to feel close. It feels like we're having a close conversation. And in some of the we layered in some like belting parts in some of the songs.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to sound like it was going to be in my lower register, and I wanted my tone to sound richer. And I think that really affected even sonically what the musicians played, which was Jared and Eric. I knew that I wanted heavy acoustics. I wanted multiple acoustics in it. I knew that I wanted a certain type of snare. I didn't want like a reverb fat snare. I wanted a tight snare that almost sounded like it was from Ableton, like just like an electronic snare. I didn't want it, you know? And so we would go through so many snares, and Jared was so patient, and we would go through so many snares, and then we found it, and we'd be like, that one's it.
Yeah.
And then, for example, with Genesis, Genesis would be a song that we would reference back throughout the entire album, because the way that my vocal sounded and the way that the drums sound in Genesis, I was like, I want the sonics in here. It's it. We found the sauce here, and that informed a lot of our music and what it sounded like.
So you knew from the beginning. You were intentional. You weren't like, oh, this is going to be like a 4-piece live band.
No, I knew from the beginning.
Spontaneous.
No, I knew from the beginning this going to be an studio album. I also knew from the beginning when we started writing the songs that this song had to be released in the fall. I just knew it. I'm like, this song is going to be released in the fall, and my goal was to release it the day of fall, which is like September 22nd or something. Yeah. So in 2024, a year ago, when I thought we were done, and I told the guys, I think I'm ready to release this album, and they're like, it's not even close to being done. I was so devastated, because I'm like, I have to wait a whole other year for this song to be released.
You didn't want to release it in the summer?
Well, they're like, bro, there's the spring and the summer, and I thought that was the most offensive thing I could ever tell me, because I'm like, do you hear these songs? These songs are like the fall. This is the trees are brown outside, and it's raining outside, and it's kind of cold. Like, you want to hear,
which we haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah,
right? But I think it will hit.
Yes,
it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit at that point.
In Dallas, it's starting to hit. Like, we have like colder evenings, and it just feels so nice. So yeah, like I knew from the beginning that I wanted it to be heavily acoustic, with electronic threads throughout.
Yeah.
When we wrote the song "Groanings" that morning, I walked into the studio, and we would often put. I'm drawing a blank. We would also put this painter on the screen on YouTube, and he would be painting, and we would just watch him. And this time, I came, and they put the Fred Again Tiny Desk show, and I was like, what is this? And they're like, you haven't seen this? And I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, it's going to change your life. And I was like, whatever. And it changed your life. Oh my gosh, bro. I was so inspired. And so then after the video ended, I was like, guys, can we just try writing a song like this? And so then I think Eric started playing something on the piano, Jared started making a beat, and I just started writing the lyrics to Groanings. And then we obviously wrote everything else together. But studying singer-songwriters informed the album for me, and also listening to really good music informed the album.
I mean, you've listened to this genre of music ever since I've known you.
Yes,
like,
I've always loved it.
Music that you've been inspired by.
I've always been attracted to like the ambient, electronic, ethereal,
I think the way you said it is like, having acoustics with digital beats.
Yes.
Digital like drums, synths, kind of all that, and then your voice kind of being in it.
Yes.
Is and I think you did that perfectly.
Yes.
Like when I heard it, I remember you played me a song. It was January or December of last year, and I think it was like a 4 on the floor beat. It was like kind of dance-ish, but then your vocals in it made it not feel like dance at the same time.
That's
and I was like, oh, this is, again, what's cool is like we're talking so much about Groanings and like the why and what you're saying, but also sonically, I think it does that. I think sonically it's like, I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect this from Joel. And I think that people are going to come back to this album more often than not. It's going to be one of those things where like people come back to it because it'll take a little bit for them to understand all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it will be like that. I think that there's depths in it, both lyrically, like you're saying, and I hope that, right? Like I hope that people, when they're going through tension, that they find language.
Yeah.
That ultimately it's language and it's tension that like brings them back to God.
Yes.
Tell me about beginning to end of the album, because that was a very intentional thing for you.
Yeah.
Is there's pain, there's tension, there's death even.
Yes.
And life.
That's a huge theme in the album. Death to self.
Yeah.
Death to what you were holding on to. Like I said, the first song was Genesis, and then I knew that was going to be the first single that I wanted out, and it was. When we were starting to put all the track lists together, I started noticing that a lot of the songs were either about like new life, experiencing freedom, the gospel, metamorphosis, like, wow, like life in God is beautiful. He's changing my life. He's the best thing. And then I started noticing like Know Me, Groanings, Needy, Ego Death, Vulnerability, these songs that kind of take a turn to like, wow, I really need God. I really need God, or else I don't know what's gonna happen. And so when we started putting all the track lists together, I realized that the album starts from life to death, but the last song on the album is called You, and then the album starts with Iconoclasm, and then it goes into Genesis. But I wanted the album to start with God and to end with God, so that it could be a continual, it's cyclical thing, from life to death,
super good.
Death to life, life to death, which is the Christian human experience. I hope, We're daily dying, daily living.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that. Again, you're one of the persons that like we were talking earlier, like that cycle of life and death, pain, suffering, joy, and like kind of all of it that you've not only live out, but also I think you call out in people, and I know we've been in situations where like we have to be real about all of it, about both the pain and the joy. And what's next for you? For, obviously Groanings. Are you thinking of going on tour, playing the album live? Do you think there's an album in the future where you will write a bit more of like a congregational worship album with a 13-minute spontaneous, whatever it may be? Like, do you still want to go that, or do you see yourself being like, this is Joel Figueroa, and this is what I want my, my career to be? I definitely would love to go on tour for this. You do?
I dream of the spaces that we would be able to go to. Because my goal is the same as to when I'm on a Sunday, leading on a Sunday. Like, I want people to come into a room and hear music and be persuaded by God back to God. If I can help aid in any way that environment, it's like it makes me so excited, bro, to think about that. Does that make sense?
And is that people that don't know God?
Yes. Like, what a dream it would be for people that don't know God to somehow connect to the music and connect to God. Like, I'm not just trying to lead Christian people to God. I'm trying to lead people to God.
Well, that's a point though that like, I think the only way to do that is to put out music that is accessible to those people that enter into that room and realize like, oh, what is this about?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, it's really not for, I don't know, the church necessarily. Although there's a bunch of people obviously within the church that like can also benefit.
Yeah.
But like someone listening to this for the first time and being like, wait, what is this about? Oh, it's about this person that went through this and also found God through it. Like, I think that's really powerful.
Yes.
We don't see that enough.
That would be the dream, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I for sure also am totally dreaming about the next project already. I feel like with this project with Groanings, I feel like it opened up a new chapter with writing for me.
Yeah.
And I, of course, want to write more congregational songs. I would love to incorporate what I discovered in Groanings, sound-wise.
Really?
But incorporate that more in congregational settings. I think that lyrics are extremely important, but I also think that sound is extremely important. Sound has a way of getting into people's hearts sometimes more than words.
You think so?
Oh yeah. And I just really like, music is supernatural and it's spiritual, and what you play matters. And the tone of things matter.
So to you, it's not like, it's not a means to an end. The sound.
No.
Like the sound, like the 4 or 5, like I really mean it. Like the 3 electric guitars and 2 acoustics and a piano. Like it's not just filler.
No, bro.
The pad isn't filler.
Like, I'm really not trying to be like cheeky or like, but like, bro, music and the instruments and what we play and how we sing, not just what we sing, is all so sacred, and it all matters. Like, how I sing a song matters. It has an effect. And then that's where you start talking about excellence, right? Not excellence like perfection, but like how I sing a song and the performance of it and like the practice of it when I'm singing it to God, that matters, that does something. And that's why I think it is 100% important, and it's 100% supernatural with what music does in a room. Like, next time we go to church, imagine if there was no music and people were just singing a cappella. That's beautiful. But as soon as you put a pad on or an acoustic, it seems like something is elevated, you know? And I don't understand it, but I experience it.
Yeah.
And I dream of being able to do that in places where maybe we think we found the only way to do things. Because it's maybe feels safer sometimes, or it's what's acceptable. And I'm not trying to like break boxes. Like, I thought when I was younger I wanted to do that. I think now I just really want to be faithful to what He gives me, and He gave me this. And I would be lying to you and lying to myself if I didn't tell you that when I'm in congregational settings, I'm like, there's more to even the music that we're playing. And I don't have the language fully yet.
You feel that?
Yeah, I don't have the language fully yet because I'm not an expert in this.
But what does that look like?
For me, my seed was making this album. My seed was, I want to take risks musically and say things to God that maybe aren't congregational, but I believe that people will connect to it, and I believe God will take this wherever He needs to, and I believe that this will take me on to the next step. And so to answer your question, like, what's next? Yes, I would love to go on tour and like do an experience, but bro, like, I want to write songs that the church can sing to God that are both beautiful, but are also like, I've never heard this before, or I didn't know you could play this at church. And I don't know what that means yet, but I feel the tension.
Yeah.
I feel the tension, bro. And I used to not, and I still sometimes don't like tension, but when I feel tension, I've learned to pay attention to it because God speaks to me in the tension.
And to press in.
Yeah,
because you're not going to let it go.
If I run from tension, I will be complacent. So I would say listening to the tension there's something about it. So when we talk about it, even now I'm like, I feel it. I feel that like, ooh, I don't know what I'm saying, but I know.
But there's something new.
But there's something there.
I think in 5 years we'll be, I understand what you're saying.
And I agree. And I don't want to be the person that 5 years ago said, oh, that's not what God is doing.
Yeah.
I want to be the person that says, I don't understand it, and if God is in it, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I don't even need to lead it. I want to help. I want to serve it. You know what I mean? It's like.
But do you envision it?
Yes.
What does it look like?
I know that you will understand this. Do you remember the times? I'm not talking about what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I want you to remember what the room felt like. Remember the times when we were on a Friday night, we would start playing a song, we would start the song, and it's all of a sudden, something would just switch, and you were like, I think God is leading this entire room right now. That is what it sounds like. I don't know, musically, I don't know what genre it is, I don't know where, but it's that. I played something that God liked so much, and I sang something that God liked so much that He's now leading the service. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, and I'm like, bro, there's nothing better. Like, seriously, as a musician and as a songwriter, like, bro, when you get to sing something that God's like, I love it. You know, it's like, I don't need to lead you anymore. And that's the goal. Like, none of us were meant to lead. Like, a worship leader, like, that term is like, I understand it. I don't really like it. You know, but I understand it. I understand it. Worship leader, like, you're leading worship, but like, I'm trying to get the people to not look at me and look at God. I'm trying to go there with you, you know, and
for Him to lead.
And for Him to lead.
Does he always lead?
No, because I get in the way. I'm just going to speak about me. I get in the way.
Really?
Yes.
And so that's what you want. That, like, for you, the way you envision it is getting
out of the way and letting God be God and do what he wants. And it sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
And the music is excellent. And the environment is inspiring.
Super good.
But the main thing, that's what I said. The main thing is that, what we've experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this isn't about,
and I know you get it. We've talked
breaking the
about
box
this.
to
No.
break it. And it's like, oh, it should just be different.
No.
I think what you're saying is exactly true. And ultimately, like, I think God is saying it's time to finish here because it's dark.
Oh, yeah.
It is, like, groanings is, for you, part A or part B. It's the beginning of that journey, which to me, I mean, I'm really grateful that you did it. I'm really grateful that you did groanings and that you put it out there, because I know it's also really vulnerable. It's you. It's real, and I'm really grateful because it'll provide. I mean, myself, and then obviously a lot of family, friends that like will get language, because we've always like you've been this way since I've known you. Is that like there's something more, and so thanks for doing it,
dude. It's been an honor to talk to you here, because there's so much that we could talk for hours, obviously, but you and I, and even Joe Awesome, which he's filming, the things that we experienced in our early 20s, I think we're just starting to eat out of that. I believe it. And I believe that those things are going to haunt us for the rest of our lives. But it's what we do with that.
Yeah.
And like groanings for me was the beginning of something. I don't know what it'll look like, but it was my seed. I had to do this. And God can grow it and make it look like he wants. I'm just so excited what it'll look like,
Yeah. Same.
I love you, bro.
Love you. Thanks for doing this.
Of course. Wow, what
Shout
time is
out JP.
Shout out JP. Oh,
Eddie.
hi.
Oh.